Shem Angel 31, Lecabel. This is the Shem Angel of agriculture and learning, all kinds of learning. So all kinds of learning. So anything to do with learning something or knowledge. And also this angel is associated with agriculture, with nature. Okay, so as usual, we're going to go through the historical sources, everything that we could find, everything that we could dig up from the Renaissance, dealing with this angel, the classical material, and then, so we're going to look at our sources. Source material is very important because this is the future is in your hands, okay? People that are getting into this, some of you will end up writing books. Some of you will end up becoming teachers or even just sharing kind of your experiences with the Shem angels. It's important that we are knowledgeable about the sources of the Shem angel material. So I kind of see my videos, instead of just being a guide, as being a jumping off point for others that are going to work through this, okay? Bloggers, people that want to help others, okay? We need to understand the source material. Lecabel, as I said, governs agriculture, and I really want to encourage people during this time to go attune with nature a little bit when dealing with this angel, okay? Maybe for those of you that are working at this for more of a self-development and kind of an initiation and self-change thing, to kind of not just call upon the angel and ask for something, but here's another perspective, to kind of work on those aspects within ourselves that the angel deals with. So this angel governs agriculture and nature. So I encourage people to go out and attune with nature while this angel is ruling. One thing that I found, well, I'm going to go through all this classical material, but I want to say something that I found is taking a little time, 15 minutes. It could be sunset. Let's say sunset is a good time. You just look at the clouds, listen to the birds, okay? Attune with nature a little bit. A lot of y'all, I encourage y'all to start a garden, to start learning to recognize trees and things like that. So, and also to pick up, to study a little bit, to learn. So, basically, when you work with the angel, that's also an opportunity for self-growth, to focus on whatever the angel governs. So, I always bring this book up on the nature of the Kabbalah, or De Arte Kabbalistica, by Johann Reuchlin, published in 1517. This was published in 1517. This is an excellent translation. This translation is by Martin and Sarah Goodman. De Arte Kabbalistica. This book, it's a lot to go into. I covered this book elsewhere. But if you go here and you look up this angel, let me see here. All right. The psalm verse associated with this angel. Hold on just a second here. Okay. Okay, Lecabel. So, according to De Arte Kabbalistica, this is from 1517. So, this is early 16th century material. This is around the time that Agrippa was originally not publicly published, but passed around in manuscript form before being published in 1532 and 1531, 1533. But around the same time as Agrippa, De Arte Kabbalistica, this work was very influential. So the psalm verse, according to 1517 De Arte Kabbalistica, is, I will enter into the power of the Lord. God, I will remember only your justice. So I will enter into the power of the Lord. God, I will remember only your justice. So that is the psalm verse. Traditionally, the Shem angels, the 72 Shem angels, are associated with 72 verses of the psalm, except for one, which is actually Genesis 1:1. But that's another topic. And usually the three letters that make up the name of the angel is close to a tetragram, or Yod He Vav He, in the Hebrew of the Psalms. So anyways, so that is De Arte Kabbalistica. The spelling of this angel's name is pretty consistent when you look at the Latin or English, Latin letters really, the alphabet that we're familiar with. In Agrippa, it's Lecabel, Lecabel. It's spelled the same way in English or Latin letters. In Agrippa, throughout the material, the divine Cabal, Rud replaces the C with a K, but it's still the same pronunciation, Lecabel. So pretty consistent over the last 500 years of magicians working with the Shem angels. Last 500 years, people have been doing the psalm verse and this spelling. So, Lecabel. And if we go to Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, published in 1654, sadly there is no English translation. It's in Latin. It's waiting for you scholars out there to translate. We need to get one of y'all that know Latin to translate at least the sections dealing with the Shem angels of Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus. Published in 1654, it agrees with the psalm verse. Well, let's take a look. Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, and by the way, I post these on my Facebook. I put everything first on Facebook. And then on YouTube, if you go to the community section, I have these posts. It's on my Instagram. I try to put these where I can, all this information with links so that you can look up the source material yourself. So Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus says that this is the last of the dominations. So each of the 72 Shem angels, they're in groups of 8 assigned to the 9 choirs of angels. This is the very end of the dominations. Okay, so one of the dominations. So again, there's seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominations. This is the last of the dominations. According to Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, published in 1654, yes, I do repeat myself a lot. I do that intentionally because when you repeat something again and again, it may be a little annoying. It goes in the brain more. According to Athanasius Kircher's 1654 Oedipus Egyptiacus, the attribute of God is Deus Doctor, God the teacher. So each of the 72 angels has a divine attribute. The divine attribute it embodies. And this one is God the teacher, Deus Doctor. Each one has a psalm verse. Each one has an office. Okay, and then we have, this is the material that we have. They have sigils according to various, but God the teacher, Deus Doctor, and again the Shem angel is associated with agriculture and then all kinds of learning, all forms of learning. The psalm verse, according to the 1654 Oedipus Egyptiacus, is, depending on what version, in the Hebrew Tanakh and in the, let's say, the King James, whether you're using like a Christian King James or you're using like the Hebrew Tanakh, it agrees. It's Psalm 71, verse 16. Psalm 71, verse 16. Psalm 71:16 says, I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine only. So there's agreement between Johann Reuchlin's De Arte Kabbalistica and a century later, that's in the 1500s, in the 1600s, you see the same thing in Athanasius Kircher. I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine only. The Latin Vulgate version, and those that have the Bible based on the Septuagint, this will be Psalm 70, verse 16. And I like to say the Latin here, introibo in potentias Domini, Domine, memorabor justitiae tuae solius. And then if we go to the divine, if we go to La Science Kabbalistique, or the Science of Kabbalah, by Lazare Lenain, which Pierce Vaughn has an excellent English translation. This is the English translation. I don't agree with everything in this book, and but we'll get into that. The Science of the Kabbalah. There's a few things I don't agree with. First of all, these 72 quote unquote sigils of Levi, those actually come from the Tulls Grecos Key of Solomon, have nothing to do with the angels. Somehow it was just tacked on later. Anyways, that's a whole other can of worms. For the office, this is the go-to. This is what this was published in 1823. For me, that's late. 1823, that's late for me. But the office, people use this with great success. So the office, I highly recommend this book. Like I said, I don't agree with everything. Take it with a grain of salt. The offices are excellent, though. He does a few wonky things in there. I'm just being honest. Some of it's like just his imagination, but so what does the Divine Office say? And I have my own translation of these that I use. My translations don't match this. I had my own way of but anyways, La Science Kabbalistique, or the Science of Kabbalah, my translation here. This genius governs vegetation and agriculture. So again, this Shem angel is associated with vegetation and agriculture. Okay? Also, all forms of learning. So whether you're in uni or university, or whether you're studying for something, or whether you just like learning, okay, this is also a Shem angel of general learning. So let me read what Lazare Lenain says in 1823. This genius governs vegetation and agriculture. The person born under this influence will love astronomy, mathematics, and geometry. Astronomy, mathematics, and geometry will stand out for his or her luminous ideas or brilliant ideas, will solve the most difficult problems, and will owe his or her fortune to this talent. So, geometry, mathematics, astronomy, these are not agricultural things necessarily. So clearly the Shem angel governs all forms of knowledge, all forms of learning, and also agriculture and vegetation and things like that. So I really encourage people during the time of this Shem angel, go spend a little time outside, spend some time looking at nature. Let me see here. All right. Oh, I'm seeing some comments here. I usually save those for later on, but I'll go ahead and read. I don't want to leave anyone hanging. Faye says, so interesting. Enjoy watching this series very much. I was looking for extra guidance and information about the Shem angels, then rediscovered your videos, Divine Synchronicity. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I believe that the angels are working in people's lives, and I'm so glad that you found these videos useful, and hopefully you continue to do so, and thank you very much. That really means a lot, because that's what I'm here for. So, again, any form of learning, and thank you, any form of learning, anything to do with nature, okay? And a lot of us are city dwellers, and we're like, well, agriculture, what do I need with that? Well, I think that many of us could all try to get a little bit more in touch with the natural world, because it's where we come from, okay? It's where we come from. So I really encourage people to go spend 15 minutes outside, maybe sunrise, some type of, just pick a time to go sit outside, sip some coffee, listen to the birds. You find that nature is not so fast-paced. Nature is not in a hurry. That's why it helps us to come to peace, because we're always in a hurry. Oh, I got to go to the next thing. I got to do this. I got to go wash the dishes. I got to clock into work. I got to call my friend and go do this just nonstop. Oh, I've got my meditation. I've got all these things I have to do, right? We're very busy. If you look at nature, the birds call. About 20 seconds later, the same call. I mean, yeah, the bird's busy looking for a mate. It calls. You're just nature. You find stillness, and we can kind of recenter. So, with this office, some of you may know right off, oh, I'm studying for this test. Or, oh, I'm trying to learn about blank. Or some of you are like, oh, I'm starting a garden. But those of you that may not be trying to learn something, and you may not have agriculture, you may have to think a little bit on what is important to you within this office. And this itself helps us to come to a greater self-knowledge. What do I want? What is important to me? And in understanding what is important to you within all of these things, okay, it's like a full circle. This behind me is a different thing, which that's another topic to go into with Shem angels, whole other can of worms. But you see a circle here. It's a full circle. We work through each of the Shem angels, and in going all the way through a revolution, we find a place of wholeness because we've gone through a whole circle. All aspects of life are touched. I highly recommend working with a different angel every 5 days. I recommend one operation every 5 days. That gives you time to come down before you hit your next operation, and then come down a little, and then hit your next operation. You have your high, because you can't just be always up on the mountaintop. That's how people kind of start to lose it a little bit, okay? You can't just be doing this stuff just nonstop. I really recommend one operation every 5 days. Ask for something close to your heart. Don't ask for something just, no, something close to your heart. When you ask for something very important to you, you may have to reflect a little. What dealing with agriculture, vegetation, or dealing with learning, or the sciences, or some type of learning, what fits my desire? You may have to reflect a little, okay? A little inner reflection. And that inner reflection and that sitting out at nature, you're already starting to walk the contemplative path. Because as I always say, there are 3 ways of working with the Shem angels. There's the way of magic, which is the full operation, maybe a scrying stone, things like that. There is the way of contemplation, which is maybe meditating on the name or the divine attribute, spending time in nature, for example. Right? That's the contemplative way. And then there's the way of prayer. All 3 of these make like 3 legs, okay? They hold up what you're building. You're building a 3-legged structure on this. So I think that all of these kind of come together. But yeah, you may have to reflect a little. What is it within this angel that I want that deals with either something with nature or any kind of learning? And then we have what the Divine Cabal has to say. The Divine Cabal. Now, you could work with these angels at any time. You don't have to use timing. I like to follow the sun through the tropical zodiac, as you see in the Divine Cabal. The Divine Cabal, by the way, is technically a grimoire for dream magic with the Shem angels. Once again, if you use that method, you need to first remember your dreams, or it's wasted. But the Divine Cabal, and I'm quoting from Welcome Manuscript 3203, that's the manuscript number. It's part of the Welcome Library. Welcome Manuscript 3203. This is what it says. Lecabel, again, you don't have to use any special timing, but this is what the Divine Cabal says. Lecabel governs from the 22nd of August to the 26th of August inclusively. So Lecabel governs from the 22nd of August to the 26th inclusively. The verse from whence is derived his name is the 17th verse of the 70th Psalm, Although I have not known learning, I will enter into the power of God. O Lord, I will remember the justice of thee alone. So, same verse, a little bit of a different numbering, but same basic idea there. So, we see a consistency throughout the centuries with this angel, okay? It's pretty consistent. We could go to the 1500s with De Arte Kabbalistica with this angel. We can go to the 1600s, the material a century later, Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Aegyptiacus. We could jump to Dr. Rudd, same basic psalm verse and stuff, although he has a different system. And then you go forward to the Divine Cabal, Lazare Lenain, pretty consistent here. So that is Lecabel. I really encourage people to work with this angel. Drink your coffee outside in the morning. If it's cool in the morning, it's been pretty hot lately. Drink your coffee outside on the porch. Listen to the birds a little. Say a little prayer to Lecabel. Maybe ask him to help you to come up with like, what do I need? Help me to have this knowledge. Even a form of self-knowledge is a type of knowledge. So I've been out of town again. But I'm back, and so this is our video, and that is Lecabel. Let me see if I have any more comments here, and if not, then I think that's a wrap, y'all. Heck yeah. I want all of you to know that I appreciate you very much, and I very much appreciate my Patreon supporters. I'm going to have more videos coming out for just the Patreon only. Those of you that do support my Patreon, it's $10 a month. Which basically buying me a cup of coffee once a month. It helps me out, makes it where I can put more focus on this. And I appreciate my Patreon subscribers. I have a link to my Patreon. Also a monetized link to some of these books if you want to buy them. All in the description. And yep, so that's pretty much it, y'all. Thank you so much. And I look forward as we go through, we're doing this together, y'all. We are working through this material together. You are not alone. You are surrounded by the light of these powerful beings. And also we're all connected because we're all plugging in to that. So we're all connected. We're working through this material together. All right. Sarah Ann says, thank you for sharing. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Thank you, and I will see y'all in the next video. Have a great day, y'all.